Yeah, whenever you like, you can start talking.
Depends where you want to start.
Yeah, at the beginning.
The beginning, what,
Yeah.
1947?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
Kenneth Arnold saw his ship
Yeah.
in the Cascade Mountains and flying his private plane from Yakima to Washington, D.C.
Right.
1947 in June.
Yeah.
You must have read all that.
Yeah, I read all that stuff. I was wondering maybe if you could just tell me like more about your experiences, because I've read all about that one. Your own personal stuff maybe, if you feel comfortable about that.
Well, the first one I saw, because I've been studying them for years, the first one I saw was about the 7th of April 1976. And I was coming home 10 o'clock at night from a neighbour's place in the Land Rover. And I saw red lights, greenish lights and white lights going through the trees about a mile away. I was going up a hill in the Land Rover. Of course I put my foot to the floor to get up on top. There I saw a big red ball about 600 yards away.
Right.
On the ground.
Yeah.
Or very close to the ground. When I looked back at the road to see where I was going, I looked back again to the spot and I couldn't see him. He was in the sky and not on the ground. And how he got from the ground to the sky, I don't know. He's only up about 200 feet.
Yeah.
Round red ball. The first sensation I got was that I was being watched.
Right.
Then he gradually flew away, lit all the countryside up, flew out over the hills. But he looked like the Japanese flag with the sun out of it from when it first hit the sky.
Right.
Only had the beams shining out of it, beams coming down to the ground, but there was nothing in the centre until about 2 miles away, flying due west at night, and only lit up the countryside in this red violet light. And anyway, he was only up about 200 feet, I suppose. It appeared to be about 80 to 100 feet in diameter. That's like a red ball. Then he flew slightly southwest over the mountain ranges to Narrabri somewhere, went down behind the hills and I lost him.
Right.
That was that one. And in 1995, I'd shot a kangaroo from his sister's dogs, had it on the back of a truck, just after sundown. That was about August 95. I got out of the truck to throw the shot kangaroo off the tray to the ground, and I looked over my shoulder. I saw a green light coming, and it was only up about 100 feet, I suppose. Then, as it went straight overhead, over the top of me, it was only up about 200, 300 feet. It was like a dumbbell. The green light was on the leading edge of it, connected to a big black rod, then to a black ball behind that. It came over about 1 o'clock high, I suppose. Then went down about 2 o'clock high, flying south, and it went just vanished. I don't know what that was. It was an unknown too.
Yep. Is there anything else you remember?
Well, the wife saw 7 in 1962, 6th of June 1962, and I missed them. That was broad daylight.
Right.
just like silver hubcaps in the sky.
Right.
She can tell you all about them.
Yeah. I was wondering, would you like me to get you a drink or something? Do you feel hot in
No, I'm
here?
alright, thanks.
You're right, are you? Okay. It's just, okay. Right. Is there anything else that you
In
remember?
665, I was cleaning out the back of a Land Rover. The sun had just gone down, the wife was getting the cows in, the milking cows. She said, I had a cooey out. Look what's in the sky. I had two great bangs in the sky due west from where I was.
Yep.
And looked out and there's two streaks as if something exploded in the sky. I didn't have my camera then, and I raced inside and grabbed the camera. It was loaded, came out and there was nothing in the sky. Streaks had disappeared.
Yeah.
I took two quick photographs of the area where I last saw it. And then on developing the film, these two white spots came out. I couldn't see them, but apparently the camera did.
Wow.
I had them enlarged, but you couldn't get any detail. They were flying south too.
Okay.
That's about all I've seen.
Right. Okay.
Got
Yeah.
tapes of him.
Oh, okay. I've heard about him, yeah.
Got 15,000 feet of tapes.
Wow, from him.
Audio tapes.
Wow.
Some video tapes. And over 70 books.
Wow. It's a
Not
lot,
that
isn't
I believe all of them.
No, but it's a lot, isn't it, to read and a lot of stuff to watch.
I got the MJ12 documents.
The what, sorry?
The MJ12 documents.
Oh, okay.
I've heard that they're supposed to be fakes, but I don't know whether they are or not.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything about them. Can you tell me a little bit about them?
Well, there were documents that were collected. I'm not quite sure now just how they were collected. They talk about the, I think it was Jimmy Carter signed them, or signed one of them, stating that UFOs were real.
Wow. Yeah,
And
yeah.
some of them have been obliterated out. I'd have to check it up to get the details of them now, I've forgotten.
Yeah. Okay. Something else that was strange ever around here? Just weird stuff happening, or ghosts, or anything else that was unusual?
Oh no,
Right.
mainly unknowns.
Right. How long have-
Berners Carter's had seen more than we have.
Yeah, I interviewed her yesterday.
You were talking to Berners.
Yesterday, yeah. She had a lot to tell me.
Yeah, she's read a lot of my books.
She's written a lot of books.
She's read a lot of my
Of
books.
your books, right? Yeah.
I've read some of her books.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I suppose I know of about 50 sightings around the areas where people have come to me and told me what they've seen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There was one down at Tarpolly, that's about 10 miles from here down towards Stamouth. In 1943, a man was doing bushwork, camped out by himself doing bushwork, cutting scrub or something, I'm not sure what he was doing. Got up early one morning and he sees a disc parked on the ground with a man with his back towards him doing something to it.
Right.
So anyway, he was more interested than scared, so he gradually started sneaking up towards him to see what it was. And when he got to within about 50 yards, I think it was, the man heard him and he wheeled round and pointed the tube at him and hit the violet light, knocked him down.
Wow.
Knocked him down, and then of course when he came to, the ship had gone.
Wow.
he was always regarded round Manila as being a bit simple.
Yeah.
On his deathbed he told his nephews just what I've told you. He reckoned he could never remember anything properly after that incident.
Wow.
I know other people down at Gindai was getting a fox 2 o'clock in the morning once. Oh, it'd be about 25 years ago now, I suppose. And they heard a swish, and a great craft came over the top of them and landed about 50 feet away from them.
Oh, okay.
I asked the wife, well, how big it was. She says it was as big as a house. Said we got frightened, very frightened. I said, did it have red lights round the flange of the ship? She said, yes, that's right, and a green band inside that. She said, yes. A red light on the top, and another red band below the windows. She says, yes. I said, could you see through the windows inside the ship? She said, yes, quite easily. She couldn't see people in it, but she said it was only there for about half a minute, I think, she said, and then it flew off. Frightened them. They were too scared and flew off. So they are about. Did you run into Kenny Hiscock?
No, I've written that name down because your wife mentioned that on the phone.
Ken and Ronnie Hiscock's all
Yeah.
one up at Copeland Dam.
Yeah, I wrote their names down. I'm going to look them up when I come back. I'm actually leaving in the morning. I've got to go back to Sydney, but I want to come back here and spend a month or two in town.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I want to come back. I've only been here a week,
Yeah.
but I've got some business to take care of just for a few days. And I'd say probably a week or two I'll come back, and I'll probably spend a month or two here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to sort of... I've made some friends here already, you know, Andy and some other people here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they start all on this business about these little greys and men with pop eyes and
What do you think of those?
claws and all the rest of it.
Mm. Have you ever seen any of
Well,
those?
space is a big place. You can't rule it out altogether, but it seems a bit fantastic.
Those, yeah.
Because back in the Adamski's days, there was George Van Tassel, George Adamski, Reinhold Smith, Daniel Fry and others. And when they didn't have to be hypnotised to see things, they saw men get out of their ships.
Right.
After the Betty and Barney incident in about 1961. And they had to be hypnotised just to remember what they'd seen.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't realise that. Yeah.
Well, some of them might have to be hypnotised, but Adamski didn't have to be hypnotised. We heard him speak. We heard how the media tried to tangle him up, we saw it with our own eyes. Tangle him up, but he got stuck into him. They couldn't twist him up.
Where was that? In America, was it?
In Sydney.
Oh, right. In Sydney.
He
Okay.
was out here on his tour, 1959.
Okay. He was out here on what, sorry?
He was on a tour.
Oh, he was on a tour in 59?
Came across from New Zealand.
Right.
He died in 65, I think it was.
Was he a New Zealander, was he?
He flew to New Zealand from America.
Right.
And came to Sydney. We missed his first lecture at the Assembly Hall in Margaret Street in Sydney. But we had friends that did see him. They said some of his video films and his photographs were fantastic. Ships that he'd photographed in the sky. And anyway, we saw went to about 4 or 5 of his lectures down there, but we missed seeing his films. We heard his lectures. There was some tangle up with the customs over over the films, and he wasn't going to show them again.
Right. Mm. Okay.
So there's a lot to it, and there's a lot going to come out of it eventually. It's the biggest top secret subject in the world today.
Yeah, I believe that, yeah. I think all the governments are just trying to suppress the information. I think they
The governments
they don't
know
want to.
they know what's going on.
Yeah, but I don't think they want to scare the people though. You know.
Well, I don't think the government knew what was going on earlier in the piece. They were in the dark too. Adamski said Eisenhower met the spaceman at Palm Springs Airport in California.
Yeah, your wife was saying that.
Adamski said he knew it was on, but he didn't know when.
Yeah.
And all that came out in the newspapers was that Eisenhower went there for 3 days golf. That's all that was said.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to. Yeah. Yeah. I think maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to scare the people. You know, it's a lot of people aren't ready to hear it. Maybe.
I think there's a lot of truth in that too.
Yeah. You know, people could panic. Maybe. It's hard to, you know.
Yeah, there's some aspects of it I keep under my hat too.
Yeah.
There's this business where they come out of the sea.
Out of the sea.
Out of the sea, ships come out of the sea.
Right. Did you want to talk about that, or?
Don't know why they come out of the sea or how they come out of the sea. People have seen them come out of the sea and dive into the sea.
Yeah.
I know one chap, he was an airman flying to New Zealand. He saw 9 parked in shallow water under the sea.
Right. Well, it'd be easier for them to hide, though, wouldn't it, if they were in the water?
What's that?
I said it could be a little bit easier for them to hide if they were in the water.
Yeah, it could be.
Mm. But also, too, that someone had said to me that there's also the aliens are living under the ground. So in the sea, they could have tunnels that go into the earth and that as well.
Yeah, the start on that hollow earth theory.
Right, what's that one?
It's, well, not Valentish, what was his name? Can't think of his name now. Fellow that wrote The Smoky God. In 1902, I can't think of the chap's name. And anyway, he was supposed to go into Earth's supposed to be like a donut. And holes in at the North Pole and holes out at the South Pole.
Yeah, I've read that somewhere, yeah.
I've read it too, but I reckon it's a lot of hooey.
Okay.
Because if it was true, it'd be well-known knowledge by this. They wouldn't be able to keep that under wraps for years.
You'd think they'd be able to find the holes, wouldn't you?
They'd find the holes all right.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. You sure I can't get you anything? You don't want a glass of water or anything?
No, I'm right, thanks.
Okay. Well, you can't think of anything else that would be relevant? Stan, isn't it?
Relevant to what?
To UFOs.
How do you mean?
Well, I just mean there's no other stories that you can tell me.
Oh, I could tell you lots of stories, but they take time to tell. Adamski told us a story once, and I've got it on tape at home. One of his lectures.
Right.
In 1955, a man came to Vail Airport in California and asked the chap behind the counter in charge of the airport if he could hire a plane to fly to Blythe, 20 minutes flying time away. The commander of the airport said to this chap, he said,
Yeah, what
have you
is?
got your credentials? I got to see if you can fly a plane before I let you have one.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't have them. He'd bring them back in the morning. The commander said, righto, he said, you come back in the morning, I'll have a plane ready for you. Chap came back in the morning, he had a girl with him.
Right.
She had a handbag, he had a little suitcase. The chap at the airport, behind the counters, soon as he recognised him, soon as he saw him, he says, there's your plane over there ready to go. Forgot to ask him for his credentials of flight. They walked across to the plane, got into it, got it started. It's a very ugly takeoff. The commander of the airport reckoned he instantly realised that the chap didn't know how to fly our planes.
Oh, God.
But away they went, they got airborne, away they went. He instantly radioed Blythe to prepare for a crash. 20 minutes went by, no sign of the plane. Up went search planes, helicopters and all. Now this story was well publicised in the Phoenix Gazette. The people in America knew it pretty well. Anyway, they hunted around for a while. They soon found the plane. It had made a perfect landing on an unused airstrip that was used by the military during the war. And out in the Sandy Desert, in the Mavadi Desert. Anyway, they tracked the footprints up to this plane, or from the plane, across to across to the desert, 100 yards across the desert to another unused airstrip that was used by the forestry department.
Right.
It was an old airstrip too. And anyway, there were 3 great skid marks, 25 feet long, where some craft had come down and landed. They tracked the people, 2 pairs of footprints up to the circle of the ship, and then whoosh, vanished.
Okay.
Anyway, a couple of years went by. It came out in the papers that there had been a murder and a suicide. The police were called in. There were 42 people involved in the research. They couldn't find out what had happened to them. They concluded there must have been a murder and a suicide. Adamski said, he told us, he said, well, if there had been a murder and a suicide, and the murderer buried the victim, what happened to the suicide? There was no sign of it.
Oh, so there was one body missing, was there?
Never found any body. Anyway, a couple of years went by. Adamski got very pally with the sheriff that was in charge of investigations at the time. And he and the sheriff were on Santa Monica Beach one day where a plane went up on a test flight, crashed into the sea out off the beach. Lifeguards went out there to try to pick it up, to find the pilot. Couldn't find him. Came back and told the sheriff that they couldn't find the pilot, and the sheriff said, oh, well, he said, I suppose he's gone to Venus like that man from Pasadena.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, the sheriff knocked people down left and right, getting away because he told the press that he didn't know anything about it. That's what came out. But anyway, the girl, she was a nurse in Pasadena Hospital. She was living with the mother in Pasadena. And the police soon found out where her mother lived and went round to question her mother. The mother would only tell the police, "Don't worry about my daughter, she's quite safe and well." She obviously knew what was on, but she wouldn't talk.
Hmm.
Anyway, that mother today still says, "Don't worry about my daughter, she's quite safe and well." On the roundabout way, I found out that the daughter came back to visit the mother. And I think once, might have twice, I don't know.
Right, so you're saying she was taken
Went to another world.
and then, alright, and she's come to visit once or twice.
Come back to visit her once or twice.
Wow. Yeah.
That's roughly the story. There might be more details that I got on the tape at home.
Right.
It happened in 1955.
Okay.
One Saturday I went out there. I had a 70-foot circle.
Yeah.
The grass looked to be electrocuted. It was green paspalum grass with a sharp cut edge around it. It was all smoky looking in the middle. There's a 70-foot circle band. She had 30-foot bands too, but it's all 170 feet. That was the Saturday. When we went home, we get home that night. Bernice rang up early in the morning, telling us that they were back. She had 2 more 16-foot circles out from the house.
Yep.
The grass all scruffed up. Well, I didn't bother going up to investigate them on the following Sunday. Could have done. I told them to get some of the grass from it. And they sent the grass into Barraba, the garage for me to pick up. And the chap that had the grass showed it to everybody. I came round to pick up the grass. There was none to pick up. I reckon it smelled like battery acid. Electrocuted or something, I suppose.
Yeah. Wow.
With heads and prick ears and no mouths and all this hooey, I don't swallow that real well.
Right.
You go back to the Bible, it tells you that man has creative thought. They
Right.
create things, their imagination.
Yeah.
But then they get into this mutilated cattle business they up in the States.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, there must be something going on, but who's doing it and what they're doing it for, I don't know. They say the Greys are connected with it, but I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've heard that they might be taking out the reproductive organs of the cows.
Yeah, well, I heard all
and-
that too, and
and
drain the blood out of them and all the rest of it.
Right. Yeah.
Whether it's right or not, I don't know.
Mm.
Greys with claws about 6 inches long and all this rest of it. And webbed feet and all that hooey. It's not practical. We haven't got 6-inch claws on our hands.
That's right.
It wouldn't be convenient.
It's true, eh? It seems maybe like people's imaginations have run away with them a bit.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that some of these aliens can maybe even look like us, you know. Some of them, I'm not saying all. Some
You
of them.
read in the Bible that God made man in his own image. Put it the other way around. The gods made man in their own image. then it starts to make sense.
What do you mean? Can you say that again? What do you mean?
The gods, plural,
Right.
space pilots with a lot more knowledge than we have.
They made us in their image. That would make
Their
sense.
image, and of course, they look like men, so do we.
Yeah, that's why I think that some of them would look like almost exactly like us. Maybe not.
Yes, well, why make fellas with claws and pop eyes and all this business? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I think people would probably have a lot of fear too. And when they see something that they just, their mind might exaggerate what they're seeing. So if they see someone that's a little bit different, the mind might play tricks on them. And they might start to look like they're really different.
Let their imagination run away with them a bit.
Yeah, that's right. So I think it's good that I'm talking to people and, and trying to get just try and get facts rather than
It's not the books and videos and tapes that have convinced me of the existence of UFOs. It's mainly the people who've come to me on the quiet and tell me what they've seen. And you know they're not fooling because you know they're know the people well, who they are.
And especially if you've seen something similar, then it would all it would all add up, wouldn't it? Especially if you've seen something that's similar as well.
Yes.
Then you know that they're telling the truth, don't you?
I have neighbours that have seen the ships, carrier ships. They try to convince him he saw a balloon and all this business. No fear, he did. I know what a balloon looks like.
Mm. Yeah, well, the government seems to do that a lot, They seem to use the weather balloon excuse a fair bit.
Well, Manel, when he crashed his plane in 1948 in America, they say he was chasing a weather balloon. Well, if any pilot was silly enough to chase a weather balloon, he'd be grounded, he'd be sacked straight away. Besides, if he was chasing a balloon, he wouldn't chase it for long before he found out what it was.
Right, because the balloon wouldn't move that fast.
No, exactly.
It would only move with the wind, wouldn't it?
Of course.
Yeah.
He was in a jet plane. Crashed south of Godman Airfield, Kentucky.
He crashed. There was a crash.
It crashed, yeah.
Oh, right. And did they end up finding it?
Oh, they found it all right. Mantel said that he was closing in for a better look. He said the object is of tremendous size. I'm closing in for a better look, which he did. His plane crashed, he got too close to the ship, apparently, and pulled in towards the magnetic field of this UFO. And of course, his plane threw a black back flip or something, I suppose, and crashed. Manel was killed. The governments of the world have been trying to say that he was chasing a weather balloon, or mirages and all this sort of stuff. And there's the planes that disappeared off Fort Lauderdale in Florida in 1945, just after the end of the war.
Right. Can you tell me a bit about those?
Well, 5 Avenger fighters took off from Fort Lauderdale on a triangular course out towards the Bahamas, and the triangular course come back towards I think they were only supposed to be away a few hours over the Bermuda Triangle. They no sooner got out from base and they radioed back that they were lost. Couldn't, everything disorientated, their compasses were going wild. Immediately a mariner flying boat with 16 people on board, I think it was, went out to search for them. Supposed to land in rough seas, pick them up. That happened about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think. By 5 o'clock in the afternoon there was still no planes, the 5 Avenger fighters and the mariner flying boat and the crew, and they all disappeared. The planes, search planes went up, they searched 200,000 square miles of sea. Because the weather was calm, it wasn't stormy or anything.
It's a lot of searching, isn't it?
A lot of searching, they found absolutely nothing.
Do you have a theory about the Bermuda Triangle?
Well, we can all have theories about it. There's something going on there. Probably an underwater base with the UFOs.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere that there could be an underwater base, or there could be a doorway that goes into the earth, where they go into the earth, and you know they've got like underground bases and stuff under the water or whatever.
That could be.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of that fellow that wrote that. No. Jansen. Olaf Jansen wrote the book about the whole of Earth. Called it The Smoky God. I've got other books at home on it. Gardner's books too. I'm still not convinced.
Right.
They might have passages and tunnels where they can go in and hide, fly across the Rockies in America. No man can walk across them. Can only fly over them.
Right.
Too rough.
Yeah.
Well, a UFO could have a base in there somewhere and you'd never know.
Right. Where is this, sorry? Where was this?
The Rocky Mountains in America.
Yeah. Okay.
Or the Rocky Mountains anywhere for that matter. You have a tunnel where they go in and come out.
Can you say that again, please, Stan?
You don't go up to a UFO that's landed on the ground, because you might get knocked down with electromagnetic fields from the ship.
Right. You say you would keep a bit of a distance, yeah.
You want to be careful, you don't want to treat it like a fool.
Yeah.
I think you'd have instinct enough to stand back anyway.
I think most people would.
Yeah, some would go for their lives.
Some people would just run the other way, I think.
Yeah, well, Adamski, when he walked back in the Nevada desert, he had these 6 witnesses, not quite on the ground, it was hovering, and on towards the edge of a hill, Adamski said. And he walked up too close to it, to the flange of the ship, and he got his arm underneath the flange, and it just slammed up against the flange and flung back against his side and paralysed, he said.
Wow.
The spaceman grabbed for him and pulled him out, otherwise he'd got under the ship, he'd been hurt much more, he said. But that's in his book.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly. If it's not in the book, it's on my video, on my tape.
Right.
Yeah, Adamski said the man assured him that his arm would be all right, and he said it was all right when he was talking to us in Sydney. Adamski went from Australia to Japan. I don't know what sort of a reception he got in Japan. He got to Switzerland, Zurich in Switzerland. Oh, he went to Holland too, that's right. He had I was allowed a 20-minute interview with Queen Juliana of the Netherlands. He finished up talking to her for 2 hours.
Yeah. Do you know what they talked about?
What's that?
Do you know what they talked about?
I don't know what they talked about, UFOs I suppose. The papers got onto Adamski, wanted to know what they talked about. He says that's the Queen's prerogative. He wasn't going to